problem is, and you've said it on other shows, the Glazers have ruined the club. So if the Glazers have ruined the club and have knocked it down, my expectations at this stage are not going to be the same as they were under Sir Alex Ferguson. My expectations are for us to get back to that level. Back to the point we were actually talking.
Sorry, can I just say one thing quickly? Correct me if I'm wrong. The last title you won, I'm pretty sure the Glazers have been there a while, right?
Yes. So the difference is,
so you won a title.
I can explain. The Glazers were there from. Hang on. Yes, again, but again, Lee, I don't know. Again, I don't know who teaches you your education on Man United, but it's so wrong. I know
quite a lot about Man United because I've watched football for nearly 4 decades.
Okay, then you would. Hang on. The Glazers have been there since 2000. Hang on, Lee, stop. The Glazers have been there since 2005. Okay, we have won multiple Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues in that time. But if you know so much about the club, what's the difference between then and now? The difference between then and now, firstly, number one, you ain't got a world-class manager. And like I've said many times in it, he is the greatest manager I've ever seen. Yeah, people will say Pep, people will say anyone else. For me, Fergie's the best manager I've ever seen. Secondly, yeah, you didn't have journalists in your back pockets doing the PR work, right? Because Fergie wouldn't allow it. He'd ban them all from Carrington. Anyone talks against United, they're out the club. Yeah, but now the club have realised we can use these to get the narrative out to a wider audience with social media. Another thing that came in. So add all of them things up, the standards have just gone down and down and down and down and down. And the day that Fergie left that football club, yeah, it's been a shambles, mate. Yeah, and I'm not saying that he was perfect, because in the last 5 years of his reign, he wasn't perfect. Yeah, he was very good still, but I don't think he was perfect. But what you've done since then is it's almost like as a football club, Fergie's gone. Like the hierarchy, Fergie's gone. Right, now what we'll do is we'll do what we want to do. Fergie wouldn't allow him to do that because Fergie was a tough character. Yeah, and he had his way or the highway. But then as soon as he's come out of that football club, you've just employed idiots, mate. Yeah, David Moyes. I know Fergie announced him, but again, right? But again, before you come back, again, Fergie gave the recommendation of David Moyes. Yeah, that club should have said, bollocks, he ain't the manager. We're picking our manager. But he went off of Fergie, cool. Right? You've had Louis van Gaal. I can understand why you employed him. Get it, totally get it. Jose Mourinho, totally get it. But this guy, I said from day one, this guy ain't doing nothing for you. Like, yes, he's nicked you a League Cup and fair play, but I've said he'll take you nowhere. Okay, yeah? So listen, let me just say, everything you said there kind of goes against your previous point around, but you won a title under the Glazers because Fergie's the greatest manager of all time, which, barring getting Pep, which we didn't do, it means he's almost irreplaceable. There may not be anybody of his level ever again, so you're always going to go backwards slightly. But that isn't the key point. The key point is it's who's been running the club since he left. The Glazers were there, but although they own the club, they had very little to do with the day-to-day running of Man United between 2005 and 2013. As soon as the running of the club changed and went into the hands of Ed Woodward and his banker team and the financiers and no football people making football decisions for a decade at Man United, we fell off. And as you said, the standards hit the ground. The club fell apart. We employed idiots, to quote your words. That's why my expectations in an individual season are not as high. However, my expectations of how we behave as a club is as high as it's ever been. I expect us to behave like a gigantic club. But because we don't, and the standards are on the floor, the running of the club is on the floor, it's 10 years of absolute incompetence and gross negligence. For individual seasons, in terms of what I expect from the team, you cannot expect that club to deliver the same as it did under Fergie when it was run impeccably well. And that, for me, is where football fans, again, there's no nuance to these conversations. I want us to get back to that level, and I want us to be run to that standard. But if we're not, how can I expect the same output as when we're run well? It becomes
that's a great comment.
A paradox. It doesn't make sense.
Fantastic point. For a decade, you said a minute ago, for a decade, yeah, the club's been running to the ground with the bankers running the club, blah, 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 yeah? Cool. So what have Man United fans done about it? Apart from accept it. They've done nothing apart from hashtag Glazers out. Let's get the Norwich scarves out. Let's have a big 1958 banner. We are the 58 or whatever. That's just a self-promotion. Yeah? Why do you need to have that on there? Like, you're there to protest. Yeah, you do something about it. If your club's been a shambles for as long as you say, which I know it has, I've seen it unfold in front of my very eyes. What have your fan base done about it? Nothing. And you're all sitting there pretty much. You just said a minute ago, 80% of Man United fans, roughly, you said, 80% are backing Ten Hag. Why? You've just said the past decade's been a shambles. Do something about it.
Okay, so let me respond to you on this. I agree with you that most Man United fans haven't done anywhere near enough, because that's why I've got not death threats, but threats to have my head kicked in if I ever go back to Old Trafford, because I've called them out and said they should all cancel their season tickets. But when that comes to a challenge to me and my point, I've done everything humanly possible. Cancelled my season tickets. I had 2 of them in the Stretford end that I waited 10 years to get. I don't buy club merchandise. I don't buy shirts. I don't buy anything from the sponsors. I unfollow them on socials. I don't go onto the website. I do everything in my power possible to give nothing financially directly to Manchester United. Absolutely nothing to them directly. I do have where it becomes hard is I really want to cancel the television packages I have, but I also support other sports. So I want to support boxing. I want to support MMA. No, of course, but I can't say that on camera. Don't fucking bait me up, bruv. Like, leave it there. Like,
you can get a VPN, Terry.
Yes, but yes, I know you can. But my point is, I'm not going to bait myself out too much online. So let me just leave it there. Like, so the thing is, I've done everything I can in my power to help get the Glazers out. So as much as your challenge is right, and there's a few people going, "Are you getting roasted here, Terry?" I've done those things that Leah's said. So for me, I can sit here. I've done everything right. In terms of the Ten Hag thing, it's this, and this is where it becomes hard when you love a football club. As much as I want there to be massive change at the club, we're still playing football every week, and we still want our club to win. We still want our team to progress. There's some managers that will come in and will rate. There's some that we don't. There were also times where I look at it and go, if the Glazers aren't leaving, I'm still going to implore us to be run better. I'm not just going to sit there and go, well, just what will be, and we'll let it all fall apart. And there's one thing we haven't done yet with a coach of the quality of Ten Hag is go through the adversity moment. So that's why some people are sticking behind him. But again, where I agree with you 100% is I see people glazer out, and then they go and renew their season tickets. They buy all the new shirts. And then when it goes wrong, then they start moaning about the Glazers again. And I sit there and think to myself, it's crazy. But look, viewers, let us know what you think.
What changes? Forget the Glazers for a minute, yeah? Right? Because as it stands, there's still the ownership. There's still the owners of the club, yeah? They're not going anywhere as it stands right now on the 10th of October. How do your club get better? Like, how do you get back to being the club?
Okay, so there are... we know because the Glazers did it with Fergie, we can get back to near the top. It can happen. How they do that is by having football people making football decisions. They have to completely back a manager financially. Now, that doesn't mean big money being spent for 2 or 3 summers on the bounce. It means you consistently back in that manager, even if he buys a dud. We've got to this stage in football now where if a manager spends £80 million on a player that flops, barring City fans, probably Liverpool fans as well, instead of going, we need to give him some more money to buy someone else's crap, we almost want managers sacked for wasting that money. And it's a case of all of the great managers that you know and I know over the history of football have bought absolute shockers as well. So we have to ride through all those little bits of adversity to get better. At the same time, we've got to set our expectations up here, but also understand that you're not going to get there overnight, depending upon your starting position. Like, I've just gone back to trying to get myself fit and back in the gym. I am a fat mess right now, facts. I've done 2 gym sessions. If I now go into the mirror, take my shirt off and don't see a six-pack and go, fuck this, it's not working, and walk away, I'm deluding myself. It's going to take me time, especially at 37, to lose the weight, get back into shape, get my strength back, get my fitness back. That is the same logic when it comes to clubs rebuilding themselves. How long you've been in the mud, how long you've been poor, and depending upon the mess left there when a new manager comes in, it takes time to turn these situations around. And sometimes things start really well, really quick, really fast, and then drop off again. Sometimes they're slower burners, and there is no set fast way of getting it done. And we've got to demand these things. However, and this is where it's nuanced, I'm still criticizing the manager for things that he's done wrong. I'm still saying this is wrong from him and that is wrong from him. And here's the reason we've lost a few of these games. There's no doubt. And if he keeps making those problems and he gets sacked, you still don't have to throw baby out with the bathwater. What you turn around and do is go, right, we know what the manager was trying to create, what he was trying to do. Let's find a coach and a manager who can come in and pick it up where he left off. The biggest mistake we've made in the last decade hasn't even been sacking the managers. So each time we do, we go in a completely new direction, which means we start the process from day one again, as opposed from picking up where the previous person left off. And that, for me, has been my biggest... That's the reason why I've got to a point where my desire for managers to be sacked has been exhausted because I don't believe a new guy comes in and picks up where Ten Hag left off. I believe they go, right, yes, you've done £350 million, but I want all those players gone. I want to buy my own guys over the next 3 years. And we just start all over again, and they never get the chance to fix it. So that's where I'm at with it. I want to go to some super chats here before we move on. This says maybe the Glazers appointed a competent board, footballing director, and scouting network to work in tandem with the manager. Yeah, that would work. That would be great. We've done bits of that. It has improved slightly, but it still isn't where we want it to be. This here says you could stop talking about United and give them publicity, but even bad publicity is publicity, but you refuse. Hypocritical thoughts on that, Lee?
I think Terry's got a massive platform and a wide reach. I don't know how many views you get a month, but I know it's quite a lot. I've seen you have
5 million.
There you go, 4 or 5 million eyes. Yeah, seeing your channel every month. So I kind of disagree with that. Like, he could stop giving them publicity, but then he's got a massive reach. So, and I do the same with Arsenal. Yeah, my reach is not as big as that, but by putting my thoughts out there, all of a sudden somebody might think, oh, actually, yeah, that is right, or I agree with that, and then all of a sudden you've got another person that's now keeping the standards up, and then you've got another one, and another one, and another one, and then all of a sudden you might get the club back. But at the end of the day, like I have it with Arsenal fans a lot. Oh yeah, you're so negative. What negative? Because I want to keep the standards where they should be. Like, and Man United would be up there challenging every single season. It's Man United.
The only way it would work is if every fan channel agreed to do a boycott, and then I would join in with it. But if I just walk away and everyone else keeps doing it,
they'll think that's a result.
Well, it's a drop. It becomes a drop in the ocean. But I do think raising awareness about the real problems is key, because still to this day, there are millions of Man United fans that still, I listen to them talk and I want to put my head through a glass window because it's just infuriating to listen to them. It really is. Terry, I need to watch the Beckham documentary because that's when real journalism existed. Now, it didn't just yes and no. Remember, it was the Sun newspaper that gave the effigy of him that was hung outside a pub to the pub owner. So there were still scumbag journalists back then as well, by the way. But yeah, I hear where you're coming from.
I think is what he's saying. There was accountability for poor performances, losses.
Yeah.
For red cards and stuff like that. And Beckham, the mentality of that bloke, mate, to go and win a treble next season was just
crazy. Do you think Sancho will outlast Ten Hag at United?
Yep,
he could do. He very much could do, and there lies another problem. Terry with his firstborn son, Lee Flewers, bonjour. So strange, such a strange comment.
Big up African GLAZERS. He's in the chat. They're watching. See, if he weren't talking about Man United, he wouldn't be here, Terry.
Exactly. I don't believe Ten Hag won't take out players. He drags off both Rashford and Casemiro when they weren't performing. Ray, I get you, but he's got to not start them, in my opinion, and then I think we'll start to see change.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all well and good taking them off. Yeah, but he starts them every week. And not only that, with Casemiro, when he's got Mason Mount and Bruno running around like headless chickens in front of him, he is literally a one-man defensive midfielder. And then he wants to get forward. And he ain't even defensive midfielder, he's a box-to-box. So when you actually look how many goals and output he has in that position, there is put him as in there and then put two competent midfielders in there that are actually going to do their jobs properly every week. Yeah, and help him out and build the team. Yes, I know he's old, but they've signed him for a reason. Build the midfield with him as the focal point.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Debbie here says, Lee, you still owe me an apology for saying Xavi deserved to be sacked. Although it's not Christmas yet, wait and see. Be happy your team won. Xavi's doing all right, isn't he?
I watched Barcelona struggling against 19th place Granada the other night, 2-0 down. Ended up nicking a draw. They were awful. Yeah, they were absolutely awful. The left back for Granada, Alvaro Fernandez, he is going to be a top player, mate. Keep your eye on him. I think he was actually at Man United. He was on loan at Preston last season, I think. But yeah, top left back, mate. Top left back. I think it's 20. He's going to be class.
What's his name?
Alvaro Fernandez.
Yeah, he's our boy. He's our boy. Yeah, he was on. I mean, we wish we kept him now with the free fucking injury we got in that position.
He is a top player in the making, mate. Top player. Mate,
yeah,
Barcelona. Yeah, I've said this. He's gone this season. He will get sacked this season, Xavi. Yeah, and they're going to give him a new contract apparently. Yeah, that'll be the kiss of death.
Can United really make significant changes quickly, being publicly traded? Too many people to answer to. It's also a problem as well. Too many decisions are based on making money. Yeah, absolutely.